Please write down answer for the question. First point, it has been given that A Ltd wants to borrow at floating rate of interest. Full stop. So B Ltd is supposed to pay interest finally at fixed rate, comma, only in that case swap is possible. Full stop. Second point, this time proportion is given in which benefit is required to be allocated. Full stop. Fixed rate, floating rate, A Ltd and B Ltd. For A Ltd, the fixed rate is 6.25% and floating rate is MIBOR plus 0.75. And as far as the B Ltd is concerned, the fixed rate is 7.25 and the floating rate is MIBOR plus 1.25. So we'll go with the steps normally as what we do. Step number 1, calculation of interest payment, comma, if both the companies borrow independently. So it is A company and B company. Language of the question is very clear that A Ltd is considering rupees 50 crore 3 years interest rate swap. The company is interested in borrowing at floating rate. So as far as A Ltd is concerned, for that, so the interest payment would be floating rate, that is M plus 0.75. So minus M plus 0.75. And as far as the B Ltd is concerned, it has to be at the fixed rate, otherwise like swap is not possible. So it is 7.25. So in that case, the total interest payment would be M plus 8%. So M plus 8 is the total payment of interest. This is what if at all they would have borrowed independently. Step number 2, both the companies would be advised to borrow differently. So it is A Limited and B Limited. A Limited will borrow at the fixed rate 6.25 and B Limited will pay interest at the floating rate M plus 1.25. This is the interest payment. So we understand that say in total it would be M plus 7.5. This is the interest payment. So difference between both of them is 0.5%, that is the advantage. With paragraph read down, if both the companies borrow as above, comma, there is savings of interest by 0.5 percentage. In bracket write down 8 minus 7.5. With paragraph write down, this advantage will be segregated in following proportion. In that friends, A Limited and B Limited, the total advantage is 0.5 percentage. A Limited will take 60% of advantage. So 0.50 into 60 percentage. That comes to 0.30. 0.50 into remaining 40 percentage. That comes to 0.20. And this is what we understand is the savings. Okay. We'll make the computation of the savings in amount term. It will be an amount like this. 50 crore is the amount of loan. So 50 crore into 0.5 percentage. That comes to 25 lakhs. Then 50 crore into 0.3 percentage. That comes to 15 lakhs. And 50 crore into 0.2 percentage. That comes to an amount of 10 lakhs. So savings of the interest is exceeding the swap charges of 9 lakhs. So we understand that say for both the companies swap is advantageous. The question only says that say you are required to answer whether the swap is beneficial or not. Read on further. Savings of interest exceeds swap charges, comma, rupees 9 lakhs. Full stop. So, swap is beneficial for both the companies. And dear students, the question is only up to this only, wherein you are required to draw a conclusion whether the swap is beneficial to both the companies or not. That is the question. So we just have to answer like this. You are required to evaluate whether the proposal is beneficial for both the parties or not. So this is the way we are required to make the calculation of answer. We don't have to prepare the swap table. Just finally I am showing the entire note and stepwise answer that we have mentioned. This is step number 1, step number 2, and this is the way we can draw the conclusion. So basically the answer is over at this point of time. We do not have to prepare the swap table. If at all we are preparing the swap table, it will be like this. So if at all we are required to prepare the swap table in examination, then how to prepare it? I am just explaining that to you. Friends, we understand step number 2 is this, wherein this is what's the rate at which the interest is paid to the bank. So payment of interest for borrowing of the funds. It is an amount of 50 crore. It is an amount of 50 crore. So it is 6.25 in the first case and MIBOR plus 1.25 in the second case. Okay, that is the way the interest payment to the bank. Then the next is the swap charges. Both the companies are supposed to pay swap charges of 9 lakhs. So we understand it is 9 lakhs upon 50 crore into 100 to get the answer in percentage term. It comes to 0.18 percentage. So it is 0.18 and 0.18. Okay. Now we understand that there will be internal arrangement wherein A borrows from B. What is the rate of interest of borrowing? 1.25 plus 0.18. So let us take 1.43. So M plus 1.43 is the rate at which it will pay, and M plus 1.43 is the rate at which it will receive. So it will become 0. Then B borrows from A. Now we understand that say finally there is an advantage of 1 lakh rupee, okay, because the total gross advantage is 9, that is say 10 lakhs, and so over here it is 9 lakhs is the payment that you have to make. So 1 lakh is the advantage. So 1 lakh divided by 50 crore. That comes to 0.02 percentage is the net advantage that you have. B Limited was ready to pay M plus 1.25. Okay. So now it is required to pay M plus 1.23. Okay. Because 0.02 percentage is advantage. So B will borrow from A at M plus 1.23 percentage. So A will receive M plus I'm sorry. B was supposed to pay 7.25. So instead of that, it is required to pay 7.23. I'm sorry, it was supposed to borrow at the fixed rate. So 7.23 is the final rate of interest. So 7.23 is the final rate of interest at which it is required to pay. So it will receive 7.23. And because of that, what will happen? Let us see. Payment of the 6.25. Then again there is a payment of 0.18. Again there is a payment of 1.43. And you will receive 7.23. So your net cost is 0.63. So it is M plus 0.63 is what you have to pay, and it is outflow. Because the payment of the M will be as it is. Now logically we understand like this, that A Limited was ready to pay M plus 0.75. Instead of that, it is required to pay M plus 0.63. So that rate has gone down. Again we can cross verify the answer like this. 15 lakhs is the gross advantage. Minus 9 lakhs is the fees. So the net advantage is 6 lakhs. So 50 crore is the amount of the loan. 6 lakhs divided by 50 crore into 100. That comes to 0.12%. So we understand that the N plus 0.75 is what it was ready to pay. However, there is an advantage of 0.12%. And that is the reason, so it is M plus 0.63%. While on the other hand, so it was ready to pay 7.25. However, there is an advantage of 0.02%. So it has a final interest payment of 7.23%. Please write an answer. This is the swap table that we have. And I'm sorry for one of the mistake that I committed in explanation.